I saw a strange sight. I stumbled upon a story most strange, like nothing in my life had ever prepared me for. Hush, hush now, and I will tell it to you. Even before the dawn one Friday morning, I noticed a young man, handsome and strong, walking the alleys of our city. He was pulling an old cart filled with clothes, both bright and new, and he was calling in a clear tenor voice.
Rags. New rags for old.
Now this is a wonder, I thought to myself.
Tired rags.
For the man
Rags.
stood 6'4", and his arms were like tree limbs, hard and muscular, and his eyes flashed intelligence. Could he find no better job than this? To be a ragman? I followed him. My curiosity drove me, and I wasn't disappointed. Soon the ragman saw a woman sitting on the back porch. She was sobbing into a handkerchief, sighing and shedding 1,000 tears. Her knees and elbows made a sad X. Her shoulders shook. Her heart was breaking. The ragman stopped his cart, quietly. He walked to the woman. He slipped the handkerchief from her eyes. She looked up, and he laid across her palm a linen cloth so clean and new that it shined. She blinked from the gift to the giver. Then, as he began to pull his cart again, the ragman did a strange thing. He put a stained handkerchief to his own face, and then he began to weep, to sob so grievously as she had done, his shoulders shaking, yet she was left without a tear. This is a wonder, I breathed to myself, and I followed the sobbing ragman like a child who cannot turn away from a mystery.
Are you going to work? Give me your jackets, and I'll give you mine.
The one-armed man took off his jacket, and so did the ragman, and I trembled when I saw, for the ragman's arm stayed in its sleeve, and when the other put it on, he had 2 good arms, thick as tree limbs, but the ragman only had one. In a little while, the ragman came upon a girl whose head was wrapped in a bandage, whose eyes were empty. Blood soaked her bandage. A single line of blood ran down her cheek. The child could only gaze at him while he loosened the bandage, removed it, and tied it to his own head.
Give me your rag, and I'll give you mine.
And the hat to hers. And I gasped what I saw, for with the bandage went the wound. Against his brow it ran a darker, more substantial blood, his own. After that, he found a drunk lying unconscious beneath an army blanket, an old man hunched, wizened, and sick. He took that blanket and wrapped it around himself. But for the drunk, he left new clothes. Now I had to run to keep up with the ragman, though he was weeping uncontrollably and bleeding freely at the forehead, pulling his cart with one arm, stumbling for drunkenness, falling again and again, exhausted, old, and sick, and yet with terrible speed. On spider legs he skittered through the alleys of the city, this mile and the next, and he came to its limits, and then he rushed beyond, and I wept to see the change in this man. I hurt to see his sorrow, and yet I needed to see where he was going in such haste, perhaps to know what drove him. The little old ragman came to a landfill, and he came to the garbage pits, and then I wanted to help him in what he did, but I hung back, hiding. He climbed a hill. With tormented labor, he cleared a little space on that hill, and then he sighed, and he laid down, and he pillowed his head on a handkerchief and jacket. He covered his bones with the army blanket, and he died. Oh, how I cried to witness that death. I slumped in a junk car and waited, and wailed and mourned, and as one who had had no hope, because I had come to love the ragman. Every other face had faded in the wonder of this man, and I cherished him, but he died, and I sobbed myself to sleep. I did not know, how could I know, that I had slept through Friday night and Saturday and this night too, and then Sunday morning I was awakened by a violence. Light, pure, hard, demanding light slammed against my sour face, and I blinked and I looked, and I saw at last the first wonder of all. There was the ragman, a scar on his forehead, but alive, and besides that, healthy. There was no sign of sorrow nor age, or all the rags he had gathered shined for cleanliness. Well, then I lowered my head and trembled. Dress me. He dressed me, my lord. He put new rags on me, and I am a wonder beside him. The ragman, the Christ.